Stuart, how's the squad looking after Tuesday? Andy Halliday seemed to come off with a wee bit of something. Is he alright there?
Yeah, we're doing a bit of health check just now. Yesterday we were in again first thing after the game, and understandably a recovery session for the guys that played in the game, and some top up for the boys that are on the bench and that still need more minutes and more time in the pitch. So genuinely we're sitting today just doing a double check. We've got a couple of scenarios on the go at this minute in time, so we just have to assess that. Obviously I'm the type of person that likes to be really well ahead in terms of my team selection and my thought process, and I know how we want to play and what we want to do, but I'll mention Stephen O'Donnell's, he's not here today. His wife hopefully is giving birth today, so we need to assess that and see how that goes. We wish them all the best. We hope that goes well for them. Cam Slattery's in for his operation today. I know that's slightly off topic in the sense that he's not available for selection, but again it's another really important player here, a really important person. We wish him all the best with his surgery this morning, and then there's just one or two other little things on the go, just a wee bit of a virus going about there as well with one or two, so we'll assess it and we'll see how we go over the course of today, but rest assured we'll be trying to pick our strongest 11 come tomorrow.
Is John Abika ready to join in?
He's getting close. The wee bit with John, and I had a conversation with him yesterday, simply evolves around the fact that he's had this hamstring complaint. We've had a couple of instances of John breaking down with hamstring, so what we need to do is we need to do a little bit extra work there, just to make sure that he's 100% robust enough to go back into a full session. He's actually done a couple of full sessions now and he's been working extremely hard, and he looks good and he looks strong and he looks sharp, so it's probably just increasing that time on the training pitch, but I've no doubt in my mind that very soon John becomes a viable option for us.
How do you approach this game? Obviously you've got momentum, you've got good form, but Morton have as well. It's shaping up to be a real good game.
Yeah, it is. I think first and foremost I look forward to it. I'm a big fan of the Championship. I think a lot of people will know that, and very simply, Morton are the form horse at this minute in time. They're on a fantastic run. They're on a real good run. Testament to Dougie, and actually a friend of mine, a real close friend of mine, has went in as the general manager there. So I speak to him on a regular basis, and I know that there's a lot of good stuff happening at Greenock Morton. So full credit to how they've went about their business, because they've got a lot of challenges in that league as well. I think that people just look and see that they're performing and playing well, but when you look at the financial deficit between themselves and other clubs, they're bridging that on the park. They really are, and I think it's about as difficult a tie as you're going to get, because the expectation quite clearly goes on to Motherwell being the Premiership side, but you're coming up against a really good, well organised team, and I have to say this as well. I think there's a perception with Morton, and probably I know this through conversations, that it's just up and at you, and they just batter the ball forward and play for second balls, and people talk about it being that kind of industrial, robust type of football. I've spent a wee bit of time watching them, and as I say, some of those conversations, I don't think they get the credit for some of the football that they play either. So they look like a well-versed team, and I know 100% that we're going to have to be our absolute best tomorrow night to try and advance in this competition, because if we come off it in any way, shape or form, I certainly don't see them giving us a yard and giving us a bye in this competition. So I think it becomes a proper cup tie. I think what adds an edge to it as well is, I've just found out in speaking to some of the staff here, that it looks as if we've got 1,700 supporters confirmed and travelling to Greenock, which is incredible. It just shows you how well supported this football club is. I would imagine that will get close to 2,000 come kick-off tomorrow for travelling support. I think Morton will be well backed. It's on the television. I think we had 3,600 here, so if you're taking somewhere in the regions of 2,000 to an away game, I just think that just pays testament to this club and to the supporters. But what it does is it adds to the occasion, and hopefully it gives us a real boost and a real lift when we play away from home.
How vital is it that you harness the confidence that you've got from that win on Tuesday?
Yeah, I'm just a big believer in momentum in anything you do. So for us, you obviously want to try and keep a level of consistency in how you work and how you prepare. Whether it's your team selection, but within that, this is such a hard schedule for us. It's a really difficult schedule. So there's always going to be one or two little bits that tweak. Whether it's making sure that you've still got a freshness. We're going to have the energy that we had the other night. We're going to have that. So we have to genuinely have a belief that everybody that played the other night is going to be able to deliver on that in terms of your team selection. But it's everything. It's just, again, try to be meticulous in your preparation, but also identifying that it's a different game altogether. What makes it a different game? It's a cup competition. This becomes a huge game for Morton, but I don't want anybody to think that it's anything different from us. I've heard that really big one. They want a scalp. They want to get into the quarterfinals of this cup. So do we. It's massive for us. It's really, really big for us. I'm not going to shirk that and say, well, the league's our focus and we'll just get our head down and concentrate in the league. It's anything but that. I spoke about trying to get a big performance and a big result on Tuesday night, because I think that everything else starts to become not easier, but it starts to take care of itself. You get in with a positive mindset. The place feels good. Everyone knows that we're functioning pretty well of late. But the big challenge for me and the pressure comes of go and repeat it, go and do it again, because I did say to you all after the game on Tuesday, I was delighted. I'm so happy with how we've been playing. I'm delighted that sort of puts the icing on the cake for that one game. But I've never been somebody that just sits and rests on my laurels. I look forward to the next challenge, and fortunately for us, it comes a couple of days later, and that'll be the case for the coming days as well. So the momentum's good for us just now. The mood's good, but what we don't want to do is start to get carried away with ourselves. And what was a massive result, scored a lot of goals, created a lot of chances. My challenge to the players and to myself and the staff is go and do it again. Go and try and do it again. Go and replicate that performance.
And I think you mentioned the schedule there. It's the first of 5 away games out of the next 6. What kind of challenge does that present to you, and is that a source of frustration that the games are falling that way?
Doesn't bother me in the slightest, if I'm being honest. I keep talking about this. We're going to splits and we have runs and seasons and all the rest of it. That's a hand you're dealt. If you start to ponder on what could be or what should be or how you would like to see it, then basically you're making an excuse. That's all you're ever doing, in my opinion. So let's just not make an excuse. That's what we've got. We're away from home in the cup. I'll concentrate on that first and foremost, the same as everybody else. But again, I'm forever saying that I moan about things, because I genuinely do. I just think these things are all excuses. That's all they ever are. If I start to take that up and start to run with it, I'm just making an excuse, and I feel as if I'm cheating people.
And I wanted to get your take on Derek Adams leaving his post, a former manager of yours.
No, I think if I'm being honest, it was a little bit of a surprise in that, and I've heard everything and all the attention and all the conversation around everything, and I genuinely do concentrate myself. I've still got friendships, as everybody knows, really close friendships and relationships with people at the football club. I speak about the chief executive being my closest friend and everything. Somebody that I respect more so than anybody in the game. But I can genuinely tell you, I have said this several times, that we don't talk surrounding shop, about what happens here, what happens there. There's too much respect for that. So I think the surprise comes in that obviously Derek was in for, I think it was 12 games or something like that. But I genuinely mean this wholeheartedly. It's such a difficult job. It really is such a difficult job, and everybody jump in the bandwagon now and say, oh, that's that managerial fraternity. It's just, I always say, until you've walked in the shoes, you'll never know. And that's not an arrogance. It's really simple. Everybody's got an opinion on it. Everybody's got something to say on it. I don't thrive off anybody losing their job. I genuinely don't. And that's no different in this situation. I was in the receiving end of a bad defeat in Dingwall as a manager. The players were in the receiving end of a bad defeat, and it was a bit of motivation for us the other night. I'm not going to lie in that, because for me that was the lowest point for me at Motherwell. It really was, in terms of the performance, the result and everything else that goes with it. So from that basis, again, walking in the shoes, you understand how people feel. Having lost a job before, you understand how people feel. So that's always the way that I look at it. And there's different situations, different circumstances surround every football club, so for me to sit here and actually have an opinion on what that looks like, it's a different landscape from I was the manager at that football club and I was a player playing under the likes of Derek, so I don't know all the circumstances surrounding it, but what I do know is that I know it's an extremely difficult job, and therefore when somebody does lose one, I think that all the managers sort of, there's a general feeling that that it can happen to any one of us at any point. You understand how that looks like, and you also understand how it feels.
Speaking about the style of play that Morton are playing at the minute, is that do you enjoy that because it's a different challenge for the players going into cup competitions? They come up against things that they don't normally in the league?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a great point. I think that sometimes that could and should be what the excitement at the cup is, because we generally can play against each other sometimes 4 times in a season in the Premiership, but maybe even 5 if you draw one of the clubs in the cup, or potentially even more than that as well, I suppose, with the League Cup as well. But I do. It's something that I thrive off of, because I think what you get to do is, you go and play at a different venue, you play against a different manager, a different set of players, so you play against a team that's in real good form. It's a different challenge. It's a different challenge altogether. We analyse every set play. We analyse the tools and the weapons that they have in their arsenal. We analyse their style of play. So that feels and looks a little bit different than potentially going in and playing against Ross County, playing against them for the 3rd time in the season. We now play against Morton for the 1st time. So I enjoy that challenge. I genuinely do. But as I say, that's another thing that adds a little bit of spice and excitement for me to the cup competition. And then there's obviously the underdog element of it as well, where people want to go and upset the apple cart, and I've spoke many a time that I've been part of a lot of upsets over time through cup competitions at clubs like Queen's Park and Ross County through time, and they're some of my most fond memories in the game, genuinely going in some of these cup runs that I've been a part of, and I know that that's what Morton will be looking at. But also I spoke to our guys in the media here after the game. There's a rich history with this football club in the Scottish Cup. You just have to walk about this stadium and see some of the amazing memories that there were many years ago, and some of the legends and some of the stars that were a part of that, and still what that means to the football club. But since then, there's been final appearances at Hampden, and several occasions of taking big crowds to Hampden, and I always talk about trying to write your own chapter in that. I'm not getting carried away with myself, but why not? You only get that few opportunities to go and do so in your career, so why not go and try and see if we can create a story for this football club that people speak about for many years to come. And it's why we love the game, isn't it? These opportunities are why you love the game. That opportunity to try and get to the National Stadium. We don't get there after the game tomorrow night. You potentially don't get there at all if you don't act accordingly and do your job properly. But again, you've got to have goals, you've got to have dreams, and that's something that will absolutely come across from me to the players, that these chances, how many do you get in a 15-year career in the Scottish Cup? Well, the answer's 15, isn't it? It's pretty simple.
Do you feel that this is one of your best chances to get to Hampden, Stuart? Since you've been here at the club, obviously saying there's only every season you're only getting one chance, but you're already in the last 16, 2 games from Hampden. You're going into this weekend as favourites.
Yeah, it's all circumstantial, I mean that quite clearly, that the opportunity is there, but it's how we perform, it's what we do on the night, and then you've obviously got plenty of other ground to cover before you get there. But I can genuinely tell you that I take part in this competition as a manager, but I did also as a player, with a genuine belief that you can win it. I think many years several years ago, 2010 I think it was, as a player playing in a semi-final against Celtic for Ross County, nobody gave Ross County a chance in that. So it just shows you what can be achievable and what can happen if you get your group going in the right direction and you get a real positivity. And I believe we've got a bit of that at this minute in time, and hopefully we can just grow strength to strength. But as I keep saying, I know how hard we're going to have to work for it tomorrow night.
Can I just check, sure, I know you mentioned maybe you have a look at the free agent market for strikers. Is there anything in the pipeline at that at all?
There's nothing in the pipeline as such. We do look at that market if we feel that there's any opportunity to try and strengthen our group and add options. So obviously within the window you're working towards that. Before the window you're working towards who might be available in the window, and then even when you come out of it there's so many different situations. So in terms of the recruitment, that goes constantly. That's not just for players we're looking to bring into the club. I spoke about it the other day. That also applies to players that we want to try and keep at the the club as well. So that's something that I genuinely deal with every single day of my life. So there's no change now that we're into the start of February. We're still looking to see if there's any way that we can improve, and if the answer's no to that, then you won't see anything happening. If the answer is yes, then we would try and act on it as quick as we possibly could.